I had to sit there like 4 times to get through it. I think that's right. The movie itself is 139 minutes. It's a really, really long movie.
He had to watch it 4 times. Did he say he had to watch it 4 times? Like, bro, if you don't like the movie, just stop watching it. Like, it's like it'd be like me like not liking this video and watching it 4 times. It's a wonderful day in the homiehood, a wonderful day for a homie. Won't you be my homie to Taro? Ben Shapiro said something about the Oscars being too gay, or specifically about Everything Everywhere All at Once being too gay. I haven't heard actually the specifics, so I'm kind of interested to tune in and hear what he has to say.
Last night was the Academy Awards. Nobody watched it, but we watched it, so you didn't have to. As always, the Oscars is
Okay. I love how he's like, you don't have to watch the Oscars because they suck, but we watched it because they suck.
way too long. It was apparently quite boring. It did have some
I thought you watched it.
moments. So first of all, the overall Oscar analysis, diversity always wins. So you can bet these things. I mean, seriously, if you're going to bet the Oscars, always bet on the diversity film in order to win. This year, the diversity film was indeed Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, All the Time.
Traditionally, the Oscars have not been a overly diverse place. It's not really somewhere that I think non-white people feel super safe. If you can remember correctly, hashtag Oscars so white was something that was trending pretty consistently for years. And I even saw this year trending was Oscars still so white.
Time forever. And that film was likely going to win. Now, normally what happens with the Oscars is that there is a film that sort of emerges as the early front runner, and then there's a backlash against the film, and then some other film wins. Right? You'll remember that happened the year that it was like 3 Billboards at Ebbing was in the lead, and then all of a sudden it just sort of fell away because everybody's like, it's a lot of white people in that movie. We can't.
Okay, so the other funny thing about Ben Shapiro, right, is that he was someone who wanted to be a part of like the Hollywood elite. He wanted to be a screenwriter, I believe, but it turns out he's not really funny or anything, and he's not really good at writing. He's not really good at art by the sounds of it. I mean, most conservatives aren't. So really interesting that he pretends to like not care about stuff like this, but clearly at least as a young person, like that was kind of where his interest lied.
Do that. That thing sort of happens
And now I guess his interests are just lying.
a lot. Well, the Oscar winner last night, the big Oscar winner that took everything home, was Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, Forever, for the rest of time.
Which I had the pleasure of seeing, and I got to say, super great movie. So it's not surprising to me that they won a bunch of awards.
That movie ended up winning Best Actress for Michelle Yeoh. It ended up winning Best Picture.
I believe it's Michelle Yeoh.
It ended up winning also, I believe, did it win Best Director? I think it won Best Director as well. It won Best Director.
Look, he's just like me. He just looks at a computer.
It basically swept. Now, the reason that it swept is because it fulfills 2 intersectional check boxes. It fulfills the Asian intersectional checkbox, and we already had Parasite that won a couple of
Wait, is he an intersectional feminist? How does he know about all this stuff?
years ago. So we've done that, but it's a very gay movie. Okay? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once
What?
is a very LGBT movie.
It is? That was not my takeaway. I'm like hard pressed to even think about what moments are considered LGBTQ plus. The main romantic interest is between a woman and a man.
It has the main storyline is essentially an Asian immigrant mom who is working really hard and ignoring her family. But
Oh, right. Her daughter is in a queer relationship and has trouble expressing that to her grandfather. But that's an American problem.
she has to learn that her lesbian daughter's girlfriend should be introduced to grandpa, who has to be taught to accept the new ways of the world. The whole movie is about alternative universes and parallel universes, and in one of them, Michelle Yeoh herself is a lesbian. Oddly, her daughter is a lesbian in all the universes, apparently. But Michelle Yeoh is a lesbian in some universes with Jamie Lee Curtis in like Hot Dog Fingers universe. None of this makes any sense.
they don't show all the universes. There's a point is like that there's infinite amount of universes. Yes, it's a movie, so we are limited in the time that we have. But there, I don't think it's implied that Michelle Yeoh's daughter in the movie is a lesbian in all the universes. And even if she was, would that matter at all? And yeah, Michelle Yeoh is a lesbian with Jamie Lee Curtis in one of the universes where they have sausage fingers. Spoiler alert. But also like, okay, so yeah, there are, I guess, instances of LGBTQ. For me, it just is not something that like registered to me. Because it was just like, this is a movie. This is you know, like I was just watching. It didn't seem out of place. I think there are definitely times in media when they're trying way too hard to be inclusive, and it can be problematic because sometimes it takes away from the movie. With Everything Everywhere All at Once, I thought it was just like brilliant, first of all, and you know, I never once felt like, oh, this is just virtue signaling. I was pretty into the movie, like you know, as a form of escapism. I think I successfully escaped.
Unless you've seen the movie, because the movie itself does not make a whole hell of a lot of sense. I was
Okay, it makes perfect sense. It's a great movie. If you're an idiot, maybe you might not get it, but
kind of lukewarm when I first watched it. The more I reflect on it, the less I like it. There was a Hollywood kind of quiet ballot that
do you think, okay, I just noticed that Ben Shapiro is wearing a yarmulke. Do you think he's doing it to just be a virtue signaling? Is he trying to appeal to the woke minority by being inclusive of his religion here?
got revealed before this. And I said I had to sit there like 4 times to get through it. I think that's right. The movie itself is 139 minutes. It's a really, really long movie.
He had to watch it 4 times. Did he say he had to watch it 4 times? Like, bro, if you don't like the movie, just stop watching it. Like, it's like it'd be like me like not liking this video and watching it 4 times.
I mean, 139 minutes is a 2-hour, 20-minute film. This movie should have been done about 140. In any case, it's not like
man, if only Ben Shapiro was some sort of like script writer, he would, you know, he could have written a better movie.
a horrible movie. It's just kind of nonsensical in a lot of ways, and then finishes with sort of the mushy "can't we all get along" story. In any case, that was sort of the only big political moment of the night. There were a couple other political moments of the night. That was the big one.
What does this mean, a political moment? Just like some Asian people won some Oscars, and that was political? Like, what would have happened if a Jewish person like Ben Shapiro won an Oscar, which he never will? Would that be political?
The Oscar-winning director Daniel Scheinert saying that I used to dress in drag as a kid, and no one's threatened by drag. No one, because I used to dress in drag as a kid.
That is true. I'm not scared of kids in drag.
Yeah, spread your morality, Hollywood. Do it.
He's so bumhurt about not being included in Hollywood.
I want to dedicate this to the mommies, all the mommies of the world, to our moms. Specifically my mom and dad, Ken and Becky. Thank you for not squashing my creativity when I was making really disturbing horror films or really perverted comedy films or dressing in drag as a kid, which is a threat to nobody.
But have you considered that it's a threat to Ben Shapiro's feelings? You know, you didn't think of that.
So yeah, that's I mean, I'm sorry. Talk to us more about your morality, Hollywood. Yes, I want to hear from Hollywoodites how to raise kids. That's definitely what I want to hear. Well,
I mean, like, what is he saying? He's like, famous people in videos shouldn't be trusted, and we shouldn't look up to them. It's like, Ben, take a look at yourself. Look at what you do for a living.
My journey started on a boat. I spent a year in a refugee camp. And somehow, I ended up here on Hollywood's biggest stage.
Waymond.
They say stories like this only happen in the movies. I cannot believe it's happening to me. This is the American dream.
Ben should be all over this. This is like Hollywood elites like selling American propaganda. Although I don't think what's his name is a Hollywood elite really. Actually, I heard that the person who plays Waymond, what is his name in real life? Has trouble getting work because he's an Asian man, and you know, there's not really a lot of work that show Asian men in like positive masculine roles.
Yeah, that's quite wonderful. That really is like a nice thing.
Even Ben Shapiro's like, I guess that's nice. Like it's actually quite moving.
And I think that's why everybody was rooting for Ke Kwan. The other aspects of sort of the diversity picks were for best actor, a straight
Why are they diversity picks? I thought he was fantastic.
white male won, but playing a gay white male, of course, an overweight.
Oh my god. Wait, was he so there was a straight white male who played so the diversity
Actor,
pick
a straight white male
the other diversity pick was a straight white male? Oh my god. Like how?
won, but playing a gay white male, of course, an overweight, morbidly obese gay white male. That'd be Brendan Fraser in The Whale,
Oh yeah, Brandon Fraser, right?
who
Yeah.
who won
I never saw that movie, but I am interested in it. I don't think it's available anywhere for free yet. So
over Austin Butler, who probably gave the best performance of the year as Elvis, really kind of inhabited Elvis. But Brendan Fraser won for
you can tell that Ben Shapiro, he's so into movies and stuff. Like clearly he has an opinion. He's watched like every one of these movies and seems like he has a vested interest in who's going to win. Maybe just people disagree with you, Ben. Like who cares?
The Whale.
And also, let's face it, the Oscars is political, not in the sense that they're constantly catering to like wokeism or anything, but in the sense that like whoever wins, it's about like the inner politics of Hollywood and like the Actors Guild or whatever.
Michelle Yeoh won Best Actress. She is very good in Everything Everywhere All at Once. The other person, but there's one person who just got kind of
Well, at least he can say that much.
crapped upon for even being nominated. That was Andrea Riseborough, who gives, I think, a better performance to Leslie, but doesn't matter because, of course,
Is that real? Ben Shapiro's cousin is Mara Wilson, who played Matilda. I love Matilda. Really, they are related? Oh my god, I feel so bad for her. I guess that's what she looks like now. Why Matilda star Mara Wilson won't speak to her cousin Ben Shapiro? Yeah, well, I wouldn't want to speak to him either.
diversity above all. Best Supporting Actress went to Jamie Lee Curtis. It was a big sweep, as I say, for Everything Everywhere All at Once all the time. Now, the big shutout
It's almost like it was a good movie.
here, and it's worth noting here, the big shutout here is Top Gun. So Top Gun, I believe, did not win a single award. Did Top Gun win anything?
I don't care about Top Gun. I haven't seen all these movies. Like Ben clearly is like a cinephile, but which makes it funny because he has to simultaneously pretend that he doesn't care about any of this, but he has such a strong opinion, and he's just trying to cast all of this as like, oh, the Hollywood elite. It's like, Ben, your entire career is based on being a failed Hollywood elite person, and I mean he's done very well for himself. 5.5 million subscribers. You know. Probably doing a lot better than a lot of Hollywood elitists. But is he an elitist in his own sense? Absolutely.
Last night, Top Gun Maverick, it won Best Sound. It won Best Sound, which, okay, Best Sound.
It's like, yes, it didn't win. Oh, wait, it did win.
It did not win Best Production Design. It did not win Best Film Editing. It did not win, by the way, it certainly should have won Best Film Editing. The notion that Everything Everywhere All at Once won Best Film Editing is absurd.
I don't know. I haven't seen Top Gun, and I probably never will. Yeah, it's like American propaganda, like industrial military complex. That's why I would never like watch a movie like that. But I like to tell a story like Everything Everywhere All at Once that is so complex. Come on. It's pretty impressive. I'm pretty sure Top Gun was like a linear time, right? In only one universe, Pathetic.
Everything Everywhere All at Once needed to be edited with a chainsaw. But Top Gun Maverick did not win best film
Just say, like, unlike every other Jewish person on earth, Ben Shapiro hates Asian people.
editing. It did not win even best visual effects. That went to Avatar: The Way of Water. This is
Apparently that was bad too. I haven't. The only movie I've seen is on this list is Everything Everywhere All at Once, and it was one of those movies to me where I was like, when I was done watching it, I was like, I think this is my new favorite movie.
tactical mistake by Hollywood, because in 5 years nobody's going to be watching Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's just not going to happen. It's going to be a
I adamantly disagree. I think it's going to go down as one of the best movies of all time.
movie like Birdman or The Revenant. You know, things where in the moment people are like, oh man, that's a great movie, and then no one ever watches it again.
Sometimes it do be like that. Like with Birdman, I felt like its like real watchability was not fantastic, but I still thought it was a fantastic film. You know, like, but I didn't feel the need to like watch it again.
I know that critics fell in love with this movie. Again, I think I know the reasons why, but it is not.
Why, Ben? Tell us.
It's not. Top Gun was clearly the phenomenon of the
I think I know the reasons why. Top Gun was clearly the phenomenon of American propaganda BS, and people should have eaten that up more. You know, the only reason Everything Everywhere All at Once won was because Asian people.
year. The fact that there were so many people who were opposed to Top Gun was a quasi-political statement. It was sort of along.
I love how he's supposed to be this like art critic here. I mean, he's like that. This is why I find this bit so ironic, is that he's simultaneously saying that like, oh, the critics loved it, and I'm like, bro, this entire segment is, and there were several other segments about him reacting to the Oscars. It's like, you have 5.5 million subscribers on YouTube, and you're doing art criticism. Like, so you're simultaneously making fun of art critics while also you're, in this sense, one of the most influential art critics in the world. You just don't have a good sense of what good art is because you're conservative.
Along the lines of this piece from MSNBC called Top Gun Maverick is the most insidious movie at the Oscars. This is from Zishan Alim, who said that it's insidious because it is very much in favor of the American war machine as a beacon of virtue and excitement. It's a
That's a legitimate criticism. As somebody who is supposed to be like an anti-establishment person, clearly he's not. That's one of the most obvious criticisms of a movie like Top Gun.
a poisonous kind of nostalgia, one that smuggles love of endless war into a celebration of live action. I think that is one of the kind of subtle reasons that Top Gun had to lose, because it was kind of too pro-America. I wasn't allowed to win.
Wait, didn't what was it? Hurt Locker? Didn't Hurt Locker win an Oscar? Which was like a super American war propaganda movie. It won 6 awards, including Best Picture in like 2010. As if this is not something that the Oscars are capable of. It's just like crazy. Yeah, and like Best Director. It swept the Oscars that year. To be honest, I didn't think Hurt Locker was that great, even from an anti-American imperialism standpoint. Like, it wasn't even like, hey, I can oversee the obvious propaganda of this because the movie's good. It was like, this movie's just kind of boring. Like, for a movie about bombs, how can I be this bored?
Speaking of people who are not pro-America, one of the people who spoke last night was a guy named Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen is in John Wick 4. I'm not sure why Donnie Yen was speaking at the Oscars.
I'll tell you why, Ben. Because he's an Asian man. You know, you would understand this if you were some sort of minority, such as like, a Jewish person. You would understand that Hollywood only does things for diversity and inclusivity because they have to appeal to the woke mob. But since you're not part of any minority group, you're incapable of understanding this.
But as it turns out, Donnie Yen also is a front person for the Chinese regime.
Is that true?
So, according to
What?
and
That's Donnie Yen? I guess I love Donnie Yen. Isn't he in like Crouching Tiger? Okay, so the thing about this as well is that you like what do you do? What do you do if you were let's say you were born in Hong Kong, which has an amazing uh film culture. So many great films have come out of Hong Kong. What are you going to do? Are you going to criticize China and essentially never work again? Or are you just going to like play along, right? I'm pretty sure Michelle Yeoh also was put in a similar situation where it was like, hey, do you think China is good or bad? And then it's like they give her the mic and it's like, well, since I can feel like the snipers pointing at my head right now, I'm going to go with China is good. And and she got a lot of criticism for that. But at the same time, what do you think about in the US? What happens in the US? Ben Shapiro was just right here criticizing someone for writing an article about the American war machine and saying basically like, hey, you shouldn't do that. It's not like Americans are super critical of America either, right? So to expect somebody who has a lot of pressure and their entire career might be on the line to forfeit that in order to what, make a political statement about China that will inevitably change nothing other than the fact that that person might never work in film again. I don't know the exact situation with Donnie Yen, but I'm just saying, how do you actually expect someone to deal with that pressure? I don't know.
ME, there's a petition that was actually set up against Donnie Yen doing this, set up by a Hong Kong activist who claimed the decision showed contempt for the people of Hong Kong and that Yen's presence would damage the image and reputation of the film industry. He had opposed the pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong in 2019. He called it a riot.
All right, I do believe in the pro-democracy movement in Hong Kong, of course. That is unfortunate.
He is,
if that's true.
He was known for starring in the Ip Man series, which is a kind of kung fu series. He was in Rogue One. He's in the 2020 live action remake of Mulan. But he is in
Mulan also had its own controversy with the actor being like against the Hong Kong independence. I do just think it is kind of like, it is a bit unfair to put famous people in those situations. They have no choice. They don't really have a choice. Similar in America. If an American actor were to do what he's calling on these Chinese actors to do, Ben Shapiro would call that person woke and like castrate them on Twitter, you know?
In fact, a frontman for Chinese positions at the Oscars. Again, not particularly shocking that the Oscars was perfectly fine featuring all of that. Overall, however,
they feature plenty of Americans who are like hawkish. What is he talking
pretty
about?
Boring Oscars. Jimmy Kimmel kind of hemmed it in. He didn't get too political, which I think the Oscars needed to do. It's not going to revive the Oscars. Not that the Oscars is still a flagging enterprise by the numbers. It's still going down and down and down and down. Again, the reason for that is because the big movies are the ones. The only two that really did like amazing business last year were Top Gun and Avatar, and neither of them really cleaned up at all.
I mean, the movies that sell aren't the movies that are good anyways.
Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now.
Okay, wow. That was a little surprisingly lukewarm takes here from Ben Shapiro. I guess the shocking part is that Everything Everywhere All at Once could be too gay for someone like Ben Shapiro. It's literally a movie about how the struggle of how hard it is to be like accepted by the nuances of different generations when it comes to different intersections of your identity. Michelle Yeoh is struggling to accept herself in that movie, as well as in so much as she relates to the rest of her family. And her daughter in the film also has like that additional intersectionality. And if I'm correct, Michelle Yeoh does realize at some point that she's kind of projecting onto her daughter and trying to control her in a way that she herself also does not like being controlled. Honestly, all of this makes me want to watch the movie again so that I can really like dissect it and ingest its themes, everything everywhere all at once. I mean, also I'm just like an Asian American person. Obviously, I'm Canadian, but like in the context of like North America, I'm like an Asian American, So, everything everywhere all at once probably spoke to me in a way that Ben Shapiro wouldn't understand. However, Jewish people famously, and kind of to the point of being a recurring joke, love Asian people. um, it is kind of funny to see one of the most famous Jewish people kind of like reject this notion of like, wow, I can't believe Asian people are finding success in this way. Very strange. I love everything everywhere all at once. I'm gonna probably watch it again.
Oscars. Again, not particularly shocking that the Oscars was perfectly fine featuring all of that. Overall, however,
Like they feature plenty of Americans who are like hawkish. What is he talking
pretty
about?
boring Oscars. Jimmy Kimmel kind of hemmed it in. He didn't get too political, which I think the Oscars needed to do. It's not going to revive the Oscars. Not that the Oscars is still a flagging enterprise by the numbers. It's still going down and down and down and down. Again, the reason for that is because the big movies are the ones, the only two that really did like amazing business last year were Top Gun and Avatar, and neither of them really cleaned up at all.
I mean, the movies that sell aren't the movies that are good anyways.
Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now.
Okay, wow. That was a little surprisingly lukewarm takes here from Ben Shapiro. I guess the shocking part is that everything everywhere all at once could be too gay for someone like Ben Shapiro. It's literally a movie about how the struggle of how hard it is to be like accepted by the nuances of different generations when it comes to different intersections of your identity. Michelle Yeoh is struggling to accept herself in that movie, as well as in so much as she relates to the rest of her family, and her daughter in the film also has like that additional intersectionality. And if I'm correct, Michelle Yeoh does realize at some point that she's kind of projecting onto her daughter and trying to control her in a way that she herself also does not like being controlled. Honestly, all of this makes me want to watch the movie again so that I can really like dissect it and ingest its themes, everything everywhere all at once. I mean, also I'm just like an Asian American person. Obviously, I'm Canadian, but like in the context of like North America, I'm like an Asian American, So, everything everywhere all at once probably spoke to me in a way that Ben Shapiro wouldn't understand. However, Jewish people famously, and kind of to the point of being a recurring joke, love Asian people. It is kind of funny to see one of the most famous Jewish people kind of like reject this notion of like, wow, I can't believe Asian people are finding success in this way. Very strange. I love everything everywhere all at once. I'm gonna probably watch it again.